Okay, good evening. I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. In 2007, I published an ebook online. It was called Obama, A Risk Too Great to Take. And I didn't want to just rely on feelings and other rather subjective things. So with my background in law enforcement, I thought I will use what's called probable cause. And that's probable cause has tens of thousands of volumes written on what it is and how it's applied. And it deals with human lives. It's how sure do we have to be before we make a decision to take action on somebody. We have to have probable cause just to stop people. If we don't have a reason to stop them, we can't stop them. We have to have probable cause after we stop them to move them somewhere, like a field lineup over to where a victim is. We need more probable cause than we did to stop them. And if we're going to take them to the station, we need more. If we're going to arrest them, we need more. And then, of course, when we get them to court, we have to have guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, I wrote the book on Obama because there's no right to the presidency. So we don't need to worry about those. He can't cry if we just decide not to have him. But I wanted to do it with somewhat a scientific approach so people who endorse the idea would say, I don't think I'm going to vote for him because I think the risk is too great because, and then they could go in and talk about it. Well, there was such an Obama frenzy in 2007 and 2008 with all those people just falling over themselves. That didn't have any impact. Then Obama was elected president. So in 2010, I wrote this book, Executive Order 1 and the Bolshevik Papers. With the kind of a subtitle of the new USSR, the United States Socialist Republic. So we've kind of moved from those folks over in Russia being a part of the USSR to us becoming the USSR. And they are no longer a socialist republic. There might be a lot of other things, but they're not a socialist republic. An interesting aspect in Pravda, which is a newspaper that goes way back in Bolshevik and Soviet history, which means truth, which is a little closer now. They've had some editorials, and they call the United States now the land of the red. And they say, who better knows what red is than we, who just recently escaped 70 years from it. Doesn't mean anything, but just interesting because that hit them as they saw things that were happening here. And Obama. When I talk about Obama, it's not Obama, just like Lenin was not Bolshevism. And I'll get into that just in just a minute. I've written these two words on the board, Bolsheviks and chaos. And nothing that's happening in the United States now makes any sense if you try to overlay the events on a democracy, on an autocracy. None of it makes any sense. You hear people all the time say, why would he do something like that? I mean, that is the dumbest thing he could do. And I recall Republican politicians, in the British petroleum disaster there in the Gulf, where it was just, fuel was pouring out, I guess. And the Republicans declared Obama finished. Now, we look back, that's about a year maybe. Who's talking about British petroleum? Nobody. It's not a big deal. But it created chaos, and it had the Republicans talking about how dumb Obama was and how he should have cared for and taken care of British petroleum. So there's chaos. Everything is chaotic. If it sounds ridiculous, the other side will jump on it. They'll talk about it for a week, a month, 6 months, and they say, why? Why would he do anything? It's chaos. If we're talking about how dumb he is and all the things he's doing and not looking at what's in plain sight in front of us, we're missing a whole lot. And that is the approach of Bolsheviks. You know, I think there's some things, just a couple of them I want to mention as I get into this. Obama has told us everything he's going to do. And we laugh at it, we don't get it. When he talked to Joe the plumber back in 2007, I guess, and he talked about wealth redistribution. Oh, we just made all kinds of remarks, and that we really didn't take it serious. We said, oh yeah, gosh, maybe he's even a socialist. And then when he talked about in Colorado Springs in July of 2008, he talked about a civilian national security force. And even people on the right were saying, oh, he really didn't mean that. He meant community work and involvement and all getting together. No, he meant a civilian national security force. And he even defined that force by saying equal in size to the military and equal in budget to the military. Now, what does that tell you? The civilian security force here doesn't need aircraft carriers and B-52s and all those overseas bases. So you'd think, wow, all that money is going to go to them? Say, yep. He's telling us. The last one I think that my wife really likes is his January 29th, 2011 statement to the Republicans meeting with him in Baltimore, when he said, and I'll quote it, I think, he said, but if you listen to the debate, and frankly, how some of you went after this bill, you'd think this thing was and he paused for several seconds, some Bolshevik plot. Now, who of us thinks Bolshevik? I don't know any politician coming around saying, you probably think my bill's a Bolshevik bill. That doesn't, he does, he is. So that kind of gets us into where I want to talk a little bit about tonight, and tell you a little bit about me, because who's telling you what I'm going to tell you, you need to know why and for what reason. So